Well, Deathgarden. Let's talk about this.
Can you
The gameplay featured here is brought to you by Player One Coffee. Coffee made by gamers, for gamers. Use the link in the description to get 5% off any of your purchases. Hey everybody, what is going on? Brandon here with a game review video, this time for the game Deathgarden Blood Harvest. Now, this is a game that I've actually had for a while. I've been playing it here and there for a while. It's a game I really was taking my time doing a review on because my initial impressions on it were bad. They were very bad. This is from the same studio that did Dead by Daylight. It's pretty much just a sped up version of that game, or a more modernized version of that. Instead of it being more of a horror asymmetrical shooter, they've replaced the slow moving survivors as fast moving parkour doing scavengers, and they've replaced the slow moving serial killer with a hunter with weapons and guns. So the gameplay here is a lot more fast paced than Dead by Daylight is. And like I said, I really didn't want to do a review on this game when I got it. I've had it for around a year, I think. It's been a while since they sent me the key to do a review on it, and I didn't really want to do a review on it back then for a few reasons. As a lot of you know, I really like to support the indie developer community, or developers in general. I never want to bash a game, especially when it's in early access and it's just come out, because that could hurt the game's reputation in the future, and I never want to see developers make a game that they're passionate about, and because of a few bugs or because some balance problems that I have with it, bash it and then turn out that, the game gets marginally better, but then my review has contributed to negative press for the game. So I don't like doing that with early access games, which is what this was whenever I got it. So I didn't do a review on it. But now it's been about a year, and they've done a lot of improvements to the game. They really have. And I sat down, I think it was last week, and started playing through it again. And I decided, you know what, it's been out long enough. They've had enough time to work on it and to polish what they wanted to polish, to really show me what their vision is for the game, so I can really get an idea of what direction they're wanting the game to go, so I could really do a proper review on it. So here it is. Now, first up, gameplay on here is not too different from Dead by Daylight. It's really not. They replaced the survivors with scavengers, so rather than being a slow-moving survivor, you have fast parkour-doing scavengers. The scavengers are equipped with a bow and arrow, and based on which kind of scavenger you are, you have different loadouts and different abilities that you can equip. The arrows pretty much do nothing to the hunter, so if you do get this game and you play as a scavenger and you run into the hunter, do not bother wasting your time shooting your arrows at them. For the most part, they are used to mark boxes or targets or crates on your map so that other people can see them. They will highlight them to where they can tell where they are. So that's pretty much the only real use for the arrows that I found in this game. I mean, I'm sure there are more uses, but that's pretty much the only thing I've ever seen anybody do with them, is mark stuff so the rest of your team can find them. But other than that, the game plays a lot like Dead by Daylight. The serial killer is replaced with a hunter, so no longer having to get right next to somebody and bash them. Now you have guns and a couple abilities, and everything's so much more fast. And you really do need the guns as a hunter because of how fast the scavengers are. You could not do this game if the hunter was only doing melee with these scavengers. It would never work in a million years, and it barely works now, honestly. Now, the point of the game is pretty straightforward and simple now. Since the Blood Harvest update, at least, it's straightforward. I can't even tell you if I remember what the actual concept of the game was way back then when I initially played it, because I can tell you it was a convoluted mess and it was a nightmare to play. But now it's pretty straightforward. If you are a scavenger, your job is to go to these shrines, collect blood from them, take the blood back to the big totems marked A, B, or C, fill those up. Once you've collected enough blood, the exits will open and you will leave. Very similar to Dead by Daylight. Very similar. If you are a hunter, stop them. That is your job. Easy. Simple, right? Straightforward. But it's not executed very well here, and I will explain why throughout this video. Because I gotta say, as enjoyable of a concept as this is, the studio behind it really is having a hard time with balance, and that's been the issue with this game since the day one since I started playing it. Originally, it was just the hunter was way overpowered. I don't think, in my first 2-3 weeks playing this game when it first released, I don't think that the scavengers won at all. the hunter would pretty much just destroy you. Took 2 shots from a shotgun, you were down, and that was it. The game was over. It was way too easy for the hunter to down everybody. And so over the last year, I guess they've been balancing it to try to make it a little bit better, and I think they actually broke it even more. No longer is the hunter overpowered, but one scavenger in particular is incredibly overpowered, and almost everybody is playing as that scavenger now, and it has completely ruined playing as a hunter. Because now they've got this scavenger called Ghost that has the ability to use active camo, which, you know, other games have done this. Other games have used active camo before, but they always balance the active camo to where there's at least a way that you can counter it, whether it be you're close enough to them to where you can still kind of see a vague outline or something of that nature. But in this game, when you have active camo that has a pretty decent amount of a pretty low cooldown, it works really well, and even if you're right next to somebody using the active camo, you cannot see them. And as fast as these scavengers move, it makes it basically impossible to kill them, because they've reduced the damage you can do as the hunter so much that it takes at least 3-4 shots with a shotgun to down one of these scavengers now. But because of how fast they move, and because most everybody's using active camo, it really does no good. Now, I will admit, this game is a ton better than it was when I initially played it. It is a much more enjoyable experience. At least playing as a scavenger is enjoyable. I will say this, though. This is the only game within the last, I would say, couple years that I've gotten so frustratingly mad with that I just quit mid-match. This is the only game I've done that with. That's made me so mad that I've done it. And it frustrates me to say that. It frustrates me to admit that, because I play games to enjoy myself. I don't play games to be ultra competitive. I mean, yeah, I can get pretty competitive on Realm Royale sometimes, or Paladins, or Overwatch. But for the most part, when I play a game, I'm playing a game to have fun, because that's what they're made for. They're made to be entertaining. But when you play a game and it's just frustratingly aggravating, it doesn't play right to me. It doesn't work for me. Because to me, games should be enjoyable first, competitive second. I mean, that's always been my stance on video games. They're a form of entertainment. I want to get in and have fun, even if I'm losing. Like with Splitgate, I am awful at Splitgate. I'm terrible at it. Well, okay, I'm average, I guess I would say. Not terrible, but I'm not really good. And even though I get my ass kicked sometimes, I still really enjoy the game. This isn't like that. When you play as the hunter and you find not a single person the entire match, and that happens, you know, multiple matches, because everybody's using the same scavenger and it's just way too complicated, or if you can go and play as a scavenger and it's way too easy, that's not enjoyable to me. That doesn't make for an enjoyable experience, and it doesn't make for a good game. So unfortunately here, I don't see why they even bothered making this when they already had Dead by Daylight. Because, honestly, that's what this is. This is just a sped-up version of Dead by Daylight, and we don't have survivors in Dead by Daylight that can just go completely invisible and run at the speed of light away from the serial killer, so I don't know why they bothered putting it in the game here. But at the end of the day, this game is a lot more enjoyable than it used to be. If you would have asked me 6 months ago what I thought of this game, I would have told you, without a doubt in my mind, this is the worst game I'd ever played. And that's not an exaggeration, that's not me trying to be mean, that was how I felt about this game after my first few matches when I initially got it. It was the most god-awful experience I'd ever had. And its viewers, or not viewers, but its player base showed that. Sometimes it got as low as 4 players online at a time. 4. I mean, this game pretty much came out and just bombed in early access. So I will say it did get a lot better. I'm glad it stuck around. I'm glad the developers are taking the time to work on it. And, you know, a year ago I would have said I give this game a -5 out of 10. Now I'd give it a 3 out of 10, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is at least getting there. It is improving, but honestly, with me, my personal takeaway from this is if I've already got Dead by Daylight, there's really no reason to play this. There's not. It's the same kind of gameplay, it's the same kind of play style, and it just doesn't seem to be... There's no reason to buy this game if you already have Dead by Daylight to me. There's just not. Dead by Daylight's more well-balanced, it's more enjoyable, it's got a lot more going for it that works well with it. This game just seems to have a lot of really good ideas that don't really take off the way I think the developers wanted them to, and that's the biggest issue with it. But guys, at the end of the day, it's all about personal preference. If this game is for you and you try it out and you enjoy it, that's great. I'm happy for you. I want people to enjoy video games, whether I like them or not. This is just my personal opinion on Deathgarden right now where it stands. And, you know, hopefully it improves. Hopefully they balance it out and it just gets a lot better, and I can do another video saying how happy I am that it improved a few months from now. Because the game could be really good. It could go a really good direction, and it could be one of the best multiplayer games I've ever played one day. But right now, as it stands, it's just aggravating to play as the hunter, and only slightly enjoyable to play as the scavenger, and way too easy to play as the scavenger that can go and use active camo. To me, that's very unbalanced. And it's clear when you look at a match and you see that everybody's picking the same scavenger, and the only people that aren't are people that just started playing and can't afford the new scavenger. That means it's time to take a step back and reevaluate the scavenger that everybody's picking and winning with. That's just my personal opinion. That's my takeaway from it. I would try to balance out Ghost, change his ability, modify it, reduce his movement speed, something. Give the hunter some way to catch this guy, because he's damn near impossible to catch if anybody picks him, especially anybody with any level of skill. So I really, really, really cannot instill this enough. Please, if you're watching this, developers, you need to balance out that scavenger. You need to balance out Ghost. It needs to happen. But guys, that's all the time I got for this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know you probably weren't expecting a Deathgarden video today, but if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please do me a favor and hit that red subscribe button. If you want to know anytime Nathan or I upload videos, please do us a favor and hit that bell icon. But that's all the time I got for this one, guys. I gotta get going. I thank you, and I will see you all next time.